Welcome back to Up the Villa. This is our tactical debrief for Aston Villa 1, Wolves 0. On today's episode, we're going to go in depth and analyse Aston Villa's performance. We're going to show passing networks, average positions, heat maps, passing stats. We're going to go to the tactical pad. And we're also going to show images of note. So Villa fans, make sure you're smashing that like button, hype the episode up. Most importantly, comment your thoughts and subscribe to the channel. Let's get the subscriber rate going up again as we approach 29,000 subscribers. So it started. It has already started. Aston Villa can't keep scoring from outside the box. Aston Villa can't keep doing this. We've heard it all before when we qualified for the Champions League last time. Aston Villa can't keep outperforming their XG. The excuses are starting to arrive on Aston Villa's doorsteps on social media. And Damien Vidagani put out a great tweet after the game. And he highlighted one thing. He highlighted this, guys. He highlighted that the form in the Premier League over the last 8 games has Aston Villa at the top. 7 wins, 1 defeat, scored 15 goals, conceded 6. And as we go in this episode, we're going to start to fine-tune a few narratives about this Aston Villa team. Number 1, there's only one team in the last 8 games that have scored more goals than Aston Villa, and that's Man City. So this narrative that Aston Villa aren't scoring goals, I mean, we can all see here, can't we, that we are on 15 goals scored. And then we can also see that we have got the second best defence over the last 8 games. 1 goal behind Arsenal, who've conceded 5, and Villa have conceded 6. And the final little point I'll make is that Aston Villa this season so far have the second best defence in the Premier League. Mic drop. I'll see you all later. Right. Anyway, but the other little thing that's doing the rounds at the minute is this: we can't keep scoring from outside the box. And as Mick McCarthy says, we can. Right. So Aston Villa have scored more goals from outside the box than any other side in the Premier League this season. 9, including 2 direct free kicks. And we're going to get onto this a little bit because it's not a fluke that this keeps happening. We are trying to get into positions where players can strike the ball from the edge of the box. And I'm going to show you this from the Wolves game. And we saw it early on with a corner that we had, and Matty Cash nearly got on the end of it. And after that corner came to nothing, he was fuming that he didn't get on the end of it. So we were teeing him up to take a strike from distance. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to get straight into the analysis. And we're going to start by saying that this episode is powered by XG Stat, the best football analysis tool that you can have at your disposal. You can have half price using the code UTV50 for a month. But I'm going to show you all the things that it can do, what it's all about. And it's absolutely incredible, and it'll improve anybody's knowledge of analysing performances, whether that's Villa, the opposition, etc. So we're going to get straight on in there then. So we're going to go let's go straight to the passing network to start with then. So on the left-hand side, we've got Aston Villa's passing network, and this is a minimum of 5 passes. So the lines dictate that Pau Torres has passed the ball 5 times or more to Luca Dean. And we've got vice versa for every single player. So when there's not a network to a player, so we can see McGinn to Rodgers, there's not been 5 or more. I will show you in a second that there has been a pass, or maybe 2 or 3 or 4, but not 5. Right, so I think there's things to note and things that are important and things that need to be worked on. So the first thing that I can show you is that if you actually look at let's remove the passes and let's go straight to a average position. What we can see from the average positions is that majority of Aston Villa's players are inside the Wolves half. And that will show that we have a territorial dominance over Wolves. We are the team that is more engaged. We are dominating the game. If you've got more players in the opposition half, then you're dominating territorial advantages. So that is very important for me. The next thing that I think is important, but was a problem, was the position of Boubacar Kamara and Yuri Tielemans. I think what this Villa team want to be, especially at home, is dominant on the front foot, being aggressive. You can see that we've got a lot of players inside. We've got 8 players inside the Wolves half, which is really, really good. You can see that Kamara and Yuri are pretty much on the same line. Normally, sometimes over the years, we've seen Emery deploy a player that's a little bit deeper, that's screening, that's covering, but not against Wolves. We can see that both, they're not fullbacks, are they? They're not wing backs either. They're a bit hybrid at times, but you can see that the width is coming from the furthest player on the left is Digne, and the furthest player on the right is Cash and McGinn. Maybe that's a problem. We can get into that. And then you can see that they're quite central with Marlon, Rodgers, and Buendia is occupying that space on the left-hand side. Now, if we go to the passing network, you can see that we've got a real solid base, a solid foundation, and we've got width. We've got width because, as you can see, there's good networks going to the left, there's good networks going to the right. Now, the base of that and the foundation of that comes from your back 2, your back 4, or Martinez as well. And you can see that the 4 of them are occupying a horseshoe shape, which shows that as we go out wide, we're looking to dominate in those areas. Solid base in the middle. And then as we further go forward, there's a bit of a lack of a network. And I feel like for me in this game, I mentioned it on my fan cam, that the use of Villa's width was a bit of a problem in this game. And you can see that we were getting into some very good areas out wide. The network's good, it's dominant, but there was just not enough for me out wide from Aston Villa. Now, if I move this on, and I move this now to 0, so we've got a network now that's showing that McGinn's actually passing to Marlon. There's players that have all passed it to Marlon, which is really good. But it just needed, for me in this game, more crosses into the box. And what we can see in a second is I'm going to show you Aston Villa's build-up phase, but then in turn shows why we're good at shooting from the edge of the box. Now, here we can see now that we've got the passing stats for Aston Villa. Now, these are important because it shows some good things and highlights my main point about Digne and Cash. And it's important. So we can see that Ezri Konsa has received the ball 55 times and he's played 63 passes. Torres has played 52 passes, received the ball 43. Kamara's received it 48 and passed it 47. Now, when we're moving the ball out wide, the important column now to look at is progressive passes. So Matty Cash has received the ball 48 times. He's passed it 46. And he's only progressively passed it forward 3 times. That is not enough. We then go to Digne, who's received it 24, passed it 30, progressively passed it 4. Again, he's your width on the left-hand side, and he's only progressively passed it forward 4 times. Problem. We can also take a look at John McGinn, who we know now was occupying the same space as Matty Cash. And I remember in the game, they were very close together. The average positions show this. But again, he's only progressively passed it 4 times. So I think that was a slight problem. But we can then go and have a look at someone like Pau Torres, who has progressively passed it 7 times, Tielemans 6, Konsa 7, that highlights that those were very good on the ball. So Torres good on the ball, but again, out wide, I think we had a little bit of a problem. I just want to touch on Wolves because I thought they were good, and I thought Andre was very good. You can see he progressively passed it 5 times, received it 56, passed it 66. So he played really well for me. So I thought he was very good. Now, what I want to show you, and this is very, very good, and this is why I'm absolutely loving XG stat at the minute, is because it shows you Aston Villa's build up from the back to the mid third and to the final third. And we can now see that this is Aston Villa's general build-up shape. You can see that Tielemans is dropping a little bit deeper. We've got Kamara that's taking a lot of touches. We know that he took a lot of touches, but this is brilliant now. I didn't know they've got this, but they've got this. We can now show the passing network between playing out from the back. And we can see that we've utilised Matty Cash quite a lot. So again, Cash has got the ball quite a lot. That network seems to be drifting more to that right-hand side. If we take a look now at the mid-third, the progression part of the pitch, Aston Villa getting into the halfway line, we can see that we are dominant with our 2 at the back, which is really good. It offers a hybrid nature of Aston Villa wanting to progress and be a very progressive team. But again, we can see that furthest player forward on the right is Matty Cash. And then Digne is holding that position, and we've gone a little bit more, slightly more asymmetric. And we can see that this is Aston Villa's passing network as we go to that progressive phase in the middle. But we can see that we've got a real good base. We've got a nice box with Kamara, Tielemans, Pau, and Konsa. We can see that McGinn is kind of just covering Matty Cash slightly. And then we've got Buendia out wide on the left and Rodgers and Marlon down the middle. Now, this is the important one because this is Aston Villa in the final third getting to the edge of the box. And if we see the network now, we can see that we are dominant and we are going left to right. We are controlled. We are suffocating teams, which is really good. And when we get into this shape, you can see we've got width, we've got focal points down the middle, we've got protection. But I do believe that we've got to start to just sometimes either get the ball in the box quicker at times. And I know that Emery doesn't like doing this, but I think sometimes there can be a sharper run from Marlon or a sharper run from Rodgers where it is a little bit more of a pick out over the top or into a good space so we can get runners off. Sometimes I feel like it's a bit structured. And at times, when you're playing against this Wolves team who are shaky as anything at the back, it's about sticking it on them a little bit and making them suffer because they were having to do a lot of defending against Villa. You've got to make them edgy. You've got to make them think, oh, God, we're in the relegation zone. We're struggling. Let them revert back to type. And at times, it was just a little bit too controlled, safe, and maybe too accurate. We were too accurate, I think. I think sometimes let's just be a bit braver on that ball at times. But again, I want to just pick out on Wolves and just show you Wolves because I think it is sometimes important. But you can see that their build-up shape from the back now on the left-hand side. You can see there's a lot of players. But look at this compared to Villa's. It's going left, it's going long. Get rid, going left, going long. So our press was good in the sense of we was able to force them to go long, but they did go long quite a lot. If we have a little look at their mid-third, you're going to start to see that everything went around Andre. Everything went around Andre. And in the attacking final third, you can see that, if I just get the little network on, that it's very scratchy. So when you're comparing it to Villa, dominant, progressive, it is totally different. Now, let's have a look at this passing metric then, and we can see that who passes the ball to who. I love this. This is very good. So we can see that Torres to Konsa, 15. We can see Torres Konsa to Torres, 18. Konsa to Cash, 20. We can see that Cash to McGinn, 16. They had that good network on the right. Kamara to Tielemans, quite a lot. But I want to pick up on, if we just have a look at Marlon to Rodgers, we've got 1. Rodgers to Marlon, we've got 1. Need a bit more. I'm constantly talking about this, guys. There needs to be a little bit of a combination, a link up, a partnership amongst the forward players. I know the further forward you go, the less players touch the ball, the less, the striker touches it less than Torres. That happens every game. But I just want to see a little bit more. We've got Buendia to Rodgers, 3. Buendia to Marlon, none. How can Buendia not be passing to Marlon? So those elements of Villa were off. And we need that to improve. Touches of the attackers to the attackers needs to be the thing that improves. But again, we can see here, Andre to Totti, 16. Andre to Gomez, 14. Andre to Agbadou. Andre to anybody very high. Gomez and Andre high. So you can see what Wolves are all about. That midfield 2 is their team in a nutshell. That's just their combination of everything that they really want to do, to be honest. So let's have a little look then now at some of the successful passes for Aston Villa. We can see on the right that this is a complete pass map of Aston Villa where all of our passes have gone. So Konsa, as always, 97%, Cash 81, Torres 95, Kamara 90. We've got Tielemans 85%, Digne 91%, McGinn 82, Buendia 77, Rodgers 71, Martinez 100%, which is absolutely unreal for Martinez, and Marlon at 100% as well. And we've got Watkins at 86%. Some of the Wolves numbers there. Andre, 99% passing accuracy. That is incredible from him. 89% for Totti, 92% for Gomez, which is very, very high. And heat maps, let's just go and have a little look at Cash, and let's go and have a look at Digne's heat map. So we've got Matty Cash, his heat map here on the right-hand side. You can see that he was very dominant, getting a lot of touches really in that final third. And if we take a look at Digne and take Cash off, we can see that Digne was exactly the same as Matty Cash, especially on that left-hand side. So for me, that's Villa in a nutshell, things that I'd like us to improve on. If we just have a little look at our shots, etc., you'll be able to see some of the XG, where we're taking our shots from, a lot of them coming from outside the box, some coming from inside the box, a lot on that right-hand side as well. So that's Villa's shot map. So having a look at the tactical pad, sort of Wolves' average positions and Villa's average positions, you can see how condensed and congested Wolves made it for Aston Villa. You've got a general kind of expansive 3 at the back, but that midfield 2, very narrow, together, sort of playing in partnerships, combining together. You've got their front 2 as well. And then Aston Villa have really got a space out wide, and I just feel like at times we've got to exploit this a little bit more and kind of be a little bit braver. And I'm really going to just highlight now and just touch on some of the things that were quite bad from Aston Villa and quite surprising, because we don't normally see this from Aston Villa. But this was pretty early on in the game, and I think this shows how expansive we're trying to be. But if teams set a trap and try and find areas to exploit Villa, they're able to kind of do it, and they did it well at Villa Park. And you can see that Aston Villa's midfield 2 is on the same line, exactly what we saw from the average positions, what we saw from the passing networks. But look at Wolves. They're able to bypass Aston Villa's midfield. This is something that Villa are normally good at. Villa are normally good at bypassing a whole midfield. And then you're having loads of space between the defence and the midfield. And if you look at Aston Villa's shape right now, it's absolutely shocking, because we've not got a player that's in there that is able to come across and cover. The defence is set well, high line, but this ball just causes all sorts of problems for Aston Villa. And we have a bit of a problem, and you can see we've been turned over. They're now bringing players into the attack. Aston Villa are scrambling. So this is what Wolves are really good at doing. They're able to bypass through our midfield, which posed serious problems. Again, what we can see is that we know Andre was very good on the ball. We know that João Gomez was very close to Andre at all times, and they're able to just combine and play through us. And again, if you have a look now, like there's Aston Villa's midfield. We've got Pau stepping out here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 players here that are kind of in between Aston Villa's midfield. And again, problem, because if you can get in behind the midfield, you can turn yourself forward, you can face up a team, you've got options to play the balls in. So we had a bit of a problem, and I think Emery will look back at this game and think his midfield two were just too aggressive. They were too set on the same line. It probably could have done with one being a little bit more, just sitting that little bit deeper. But he wants to be aggressive. He wants to play his way. And again, I think we've got to talk about the save from Martinez, because it was world class, absolutely incredible, top quality from him. So, yeah, fair play to him on this one. We did have a moment where we looked very, very good. Ball goes into Buendia, knocks it to Yuri Tielemans. Tielemans goes long, finds Daniel Marlon, and he's able to turn the team over and get a shot. Pau Torres, remember this, that Pau Torres can't defend? Do you remember that one? Yeah, that one's not happening anymore, is it? Because look at this from Pau Torres. Last-ditch recovery tackle, but he's tracked Strand Larsen. He's followed Strand Larsen into the box, and it's an unbelievable tackle from Pau, because if he doesn't make it, Wolves are going 1-0 up. So massive recovery there from Pau Torres. And I want to talk about this now, because Ollie Watkins in the build-up to Villa's goal was good. He was good. He did exactly what he needed to do in the build-up to Villa's goal. We can see that Yuri Tielemans has won the ball off João Gomez. Ollie Watkins is quite central, quite narrow, but Watkins decides to run, and he decides to stretch the Wolves team. Ollie Watkins' run here, this ball goes into here. He's stretching Wolves. He's creating space. And on another day, another opportunity could have come from this. Because as what you can see is that we've got a player here now that could have been attacking that space when Ollie Watkins opens up that space by dragging the player to the left-hand side. Watkins' run then creates this big gap in here that Aston Villa could have exploited if maybe we got Digne a little bit closer to Ollie Watkins. But then what we do is we turn over, we retrieve, we pick up the ball, we utilise the ball, we move the ball to the right-hand side now. By going to the right-hand side, we're just keeping everything ticking over. We're keeping it moving. We've now gone to John McGinn on the right-hand side, and McGinn is 1v1. McGinn goes into the 18-yard box to attack, bides his time for the right pass, and he works his angle, works the opening to Boubacar Kamara on the edge of the box. Now, here's where the contrast between getting it in the box and Aston Villa waiting for the right moment to take a strike from the edge of the box. So we know that I've been saying we need to get it in the box, but at the right time, at the right moment, when it's right. Normally, I would say when Luca Digne takes his first touch, he can whip it in from deep. You've got a runner running across. That's the type of thing that I think we need to be doing a lot more. Matty Cash gets the ball, progressive run from Rodgers, in behind, those types of things, progressive. Sometimes when it's structured like this, what we have waited for, and we've been patient, is the ball that can create the opening to Kamara at the edge of the box. Now, if you're going to leave a player open in the Premier League at the edge of the box that's got the ability to strike the ball, then that's your problem. But we've got very good ball strikers. And what we've done here, we've got Kamara, who's waiting at the edge of the box, takes his touch, and then he takes his strike, and it is a wonderful goal from Boubacar Kamara. Not much backlift. He's quite upright, but the power is just there from his leg, and he's able to fire it into the top corner. So I think what we can see there is that the difference between kind of being patient and being wasteful and just sticking it in the box, but Villa actually kind of like building and waiting and going left, retrieve the ball, comes back, goes to the right, find the right moment. So I think for me, all in all, it was a hard game that was won by a quality team. Right, anyway, I've got to talk about this side. I don't know how I feel about this, but basically, he's dived in 2-footed, right? And he's clipped Kamara. Are we saying, and I don't think we should do this in football, that if it's above the ankle or if it's more reckless than this, then he is going? Because if he's dived in 2-footed, like what tackle is that? Do you know what I mean? You can't tackle like that. You can't dive in 2-footed and crunch someone, because whether he makes excessive contact or contact, there's contact. There's contacts on his foot, right? There is contacts on his foot there. So what are we saying? You can dive in 2-footed as long as you don't like go through him or show more aggressive force, or I don't know. You can't have players diving in 2-footed on a football pitch, can you? Really? Come on. Right, anyway, we won anyway. So I think overall, there's plenty of things to work on. There's always going to be plenty of things to work on with an Unai Emery team. But I think I've highlighted an area that I think we could do better in at times and just be a bit more expressive. But we've got to touch on the defence as well. How solid and strong is our defence? And when I showed you those images of them turning us over and driving at our that's probably like the first time like a team has been able to do that. So I think that shows how good our defence is, and we are good. And yeah, buzzing for the victory, and we got to just keep going, keep winning games. And I keep seeing bits of like, we're not scoring loads, we're not playing well, but what do we want? Do you know what I mean? What do you want? Do you want to be near the top end of the Premier League and just winning games? Or do you want to be playing expansive, open football and losing football matches? Because I know which one I'd prefer. So we are top of the form table in the last 8 games. We've scored one less goal than the highest team. The defence is rock solid. This is the nature that we're in. We're here to win games. We're not here to mess about. We're not here to look like teams that 1 week are brilliant, the next week they're not. They're inconsistent. We're here. We're intense. We're an intense team, and we're here to win. So I keep seeing things like we've got a tough December. We've got to stop that as well. I'm going on a bit of a rant here, but we've got to stop that, because every game's tough. I don't know how many times I've got to say it. Wolves at home is tough. Wolves at home is very difficult. Brighton away is very difficult. Could someone show me an easy game in the Premier League? Show me an easy run of games in the Premier League. There isn't one. We go away at Ellen Road, very difficult place to go to. We go to Villa Park against Wolves. They're scrapping for their lives. We go to West Ham after Arsenal. That's not easy. There are no tough games, and Villa are actually very good against better teams. So, yeah, I just can't get on board with this. Villa have got a tough December. Every month is tough. Every month is tough. If someone can show me an easy fixture in the Premier League and a run of games that look easy, no, you can't. So, yeah, they're all tough. Every single game is tough in the Premier League that poses its own problems, its own difficulties, its own narrative. One team we could be playing might not have won in 5. It's irrelevant. They might not have scored in 5. It's irrelevant. You've got to rock up on the day and win the game and produce your best level. So, yeah, it's irrelevant of who we play, and it's irrelevant of what form they're in. So there's my little rant at the end. Anyway, the episode's powered by XG Stat, the best football website in... Well, it's the best in the world, isn't it? It is the best in the world. And you can get 50% off using the code UTV50. So hopefully you've enjoyed this debrief. Up the Villa.